Hello everyone, welcome to my very first video book review on YouTube with many more to follow. This one I'm going to be talking about this book right here. It is called Straight to Hell by John Lefevre. True tales of deviance, debauchery, and billion-dollar deals. So, who's going to be interested in this book? If you think you might want to go into the world of high finance as an investment banker, or enjoy a book full of offensive jokes, diabolical pranks, and inglorious sexcapades, this one is for you. If you're easily offended by the gross injustice in the world today, you might want to stay away from this one. That being said, it's a tale about John, who grows up in Texas, and after being influenced by the movie Wall Street, by the way, if you haven't seen that one, it's also really good. After being influenced by Wall Street, he decides that it's his dream to become an investment banker. And he makes it come true. And in this book, you see a lot of really messed up stuff going on, all the way from the very beginning. John makes it clear that in order to succeed as an investment banker in the world today, you basically have to lie, cheat, and steal your way to the top. That being said, he's pretty damn good at what he does, and he never stops to give people a chance necessarily. He's always doing whatever he can to take advantage of others and really get the most out of himself that's possible. So it gives you some insights if you weren't already aware of what's going on. Part of the forces that led to the financial meltdown in 2008. Now, I'm not saying that the investment bankers are solely responsible for what happened. I believe that everybody has a part to play in all of these different world dynamics. But ultimately, the main factor that brought about this financial meltdown, like it pretty much always does, is unbridled greed, excessive risk-taking, and spending beyond our means. That being said, the story starts off in New York as an investment banker. Eventually, John moves to Hong Kong, and it just gets more and more outrageous as the book goes along. Now keep in mind, this is a true story, actually, and it's totally outrageous. Yeah. It's really funny based on these pranks that they do. The pranks can seem really mean-spirited and malicious, and John's explanation for this is because working as an investment banker is so stressful. These pranks they do upon each other in order to help release some of that tension that they're dealing with. They also go out drinking. He talks about the importance of getting drunk with your colleagues and competitors, and it gives a look to the very male-dominated aspect of the world of finance. And as you look at the behavior of these guys, you kind of get an idea of why it's like that. So the main takeaways that I got from this book is if you want to have a disposable income of thousands and thousands of dollars, being an investment banker might be a good way to start. Now, he admits that at the time these stories took place in the book, there were actually less regulations in banking than there are today after the collapse of the global economy in 2008. That being said, these guys are still making a killing, but even John admits that life as an investment banker simply puts you at the bottom of who's important in the world. I also want to mention that this book is actually based off of the popularity of one of his Twitter accounts, Goldman Sachs Elevator, which were things actually heard or maybe things that you might hear in an elevator at Goldman Sachs or one of these other major international banks. And like I said, a lot of this stuff is extremely offensive. Take it as you will. The other big takeaway from the book is that you can have lots of money and it can buy you fancy cars. It can buy you cheap Asian prostitutes. You can finance a ridiculously high cost of living, such as staying in the Four Seasons Hotel, for example, instead of an actual apartment or condo or house or whatever, until, of course, you get kicked out of the hotel because of your outrageous behavior. And one of the pivotal points that John mentions is despite the fact that he's raking in this annual six-figure income, that he still feels poor because the guys that he's dealing with, the buyers on the other side, have so much more money than him. So you're constantly dealing with people that, for them, making $1 million in a year would be considered an embarrassment, okay? And he almost destroys his life. I mean, it's truly amazing how he goes on drinking on and on and on and on and doesn't have some horrible, cataclysmic accident. And there's a few along the way, but he manages to escape okay. Or falling into extreme addiction for excessive use of cocaine, or getting an STD. I mean, there's so many things that could have gone wrong in this story. And John actually says that after this book, at the time that this book has been published, he now actually has a wife and children, which seems like an incredible accomplishment. My hats go off to you, John, because that must have been pretty tough to pull yourself out of this life of extraordinary debauchery and actually be able to create what I would guess is a somewhat stable relationship, at least enough to be with somebody long enough to have kids with them. And yeah, so I'd just like to finish by saying that money can buy you all kinds of things and whatever experience that you want, but it's never going to solve your problems. In fact, in the words of, was it the, forgive me if I'm wrong, the notorious B.I.G. who said, "Mo money, mo problems." So if you like this video, please click on the subscribe button. I'm going to be having many more coming up here. And in the comment section, let me know, what would you do if all of a sudden you won the lottery and you got $1 million deposited into your bank account next week? What would you do?